All right, welcome in, everyone. Today we're taking a deep dive into something pretty vital, something we all share. And no, before you ask, it's not our love for pizza.
Though pizza does involve the liver.
Haha, fair enough.
Uh,
But I'm actually talking about the liver itself. It does so much more than just filter out those Friday night cocktails. Going to break down its functions, look at what happens when things go wrong, and most importantly, learn how to keep it happy and healthy.
because a happy liver means a happier you.
100%.
Yeah.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's just lay the foundation here. The liver, it's vital, right? What makes it so essential?
Well, a lot of people think of it as just a detox organ. But that really doesn't even scratch the surface. It's like this incredible multitasker. It filters your blood, breaks down fats, stores energy, produces proteins, you name it.
Okay, so it's not just about those late nights out. It's doing all this stuff 24/7. Lay it on me. What are the key functions we need to know about?
All right, imagine your liver as this super efficient factory, all right? And it's got four main departments. Department 1, we've got the detox center. This is where the liver filters your blood, removes toxins, waste products, all that bad stuff. Keeps things clean, keeps things running smoothly.
Makes sense. That's the one everyone always talks about.
Hmm.
But what about the other departments? What else is going on at this factory?
Department number 2, we've got the bile production line. Bile is essential for digesting fats. Think of it like a natural dish soap for your gut. It breaks those fats down, makes them easier to absorb.
Okay, so it's playing a key role in digestion, too. This is fascinating. I'm learning so much already. What's next?
Well, Department 3 is all about energy storage. This is where the liver stores glycogen. Glycogen is basically like your body's backup energy supply. So when you need a quick boost, boom, the liver releases some glycogen and you're good to go.
That explains those afternoon slumps, right? Maybe my liver needs a coffee break. Okay, so filtering, digesting, powering us up. What's the fourth department doing?
This is the protein synthesis department, probably the busiest one of all. Here, the liver is constantly making essential proteins for a whole bunch of functions. Blood clotting, immune response, transporting stuff around the body.
Whoa, so it's not just processing stuff, it's actually building things, too. That's wild.
Yeah, it really is amazing. And all these functions, they're kind of interconnected. They rely on each other to keep everything in balance.
I'm starting to really appreciate my liver.
Yeah.
But let's flip the coin here. What happens when this well-oiled machine starts to break down? I mean, what are we talking about when we say liver disease?
Yeah, good point. So with liver diseases, a lot of them, they kind of follow a similar pattern. It often starts with inflammation. Inflammation, it's like your body's way of saying, hey, something's wrong here, pay attention.
Like a little red flag going up?
Exactly. But if that inflammation keeps going, it can actually start to damage the liver cells. Like, if you leave a cut untreated, it can get infected and worse.
Ouch.
Yeah,
I get it. So inflammation is the first sign of trouble.
it often is.
Mm.
And then if things progress, we can start to see fibrosis. Fibrosis is basically scarring. It's when scar tissue starts building up in the liver.
And that's not good, right?
Yeah.
Because scar tissue doesn't function like healthy tissue.
Exactly. It makes the liver stiff, less efficient, it can't do its job as well. And what's really concerning is that many liver diseases, they all kind of end up going down this road. Inflammation, then fibrosis, then potentially even worse.
Makes sense. So it's really a domino effect.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some specific liver conditions.
Mhm.
Let's start with one that I've heard a lot about lately, fatty liver disease. What exactly is that, and how worried should we be about it?
Yeah, so fatty liver disease, it's actually becoming super common. And it's linked to, like, our lifestyle choices, Things like obesity, high-fat diets, lots of sugary drinks.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that. So it's basically like if you eat too much fatty food, your liver gets fatty too.
In a way, yeah. It's like the liver starts storing excess fat, and it builds up over time.
Okay. So how serious is this? Is it like a little bit of fat, no big deal, or is it something we need to take action on?
Well, it depends. There's simple fatty liver, which might not cause any noticeable symptoms, but then there's non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, or NASH for short. Now, NASH is more serious because it involves more severe inflammation.
Ah, so that's where that inflammation we were talking about comes in.
Yep. And NASH can progress to more serious liver damage, scarring and cirrhosis.
Cirrhosis, that's the really bad one, right? Permanent damage.
Exactly. So even if someone doesn't have symptoms, fatty liver is definitely a warning sign.
So it's kind of like a wake-up call to make some changes.
Exactly. And it's worth noting that genetics can play a role in fatty liver disease too. It's not always just lifestyle.
Okay, good to know. So On the topic of lifestyle, let's talk about alcoholic liver disease. That's another one that's unfortunately pretty common.
It is. And, it's not just about how much you drink, but also how your body handles alcohol. Heavy drinking puts a huge strain on the liver.
I mean, it has to process all that, right?
Right. And it can damage the liver cells, leading to, that inflammation and scarring we talked about.
Okay. So it's kind of the same process as with fatty liver disease, just a different cause.
In a lot of ways, yeah. It often starts with something called alcoholic fatty liver. And the good news is, if someone stops drinking, completely stops, this early stage can actually be reversed.
Oh, that's good to know. So there's hope, even if you've been drinking heavily.
There can be if you catch it early. But if someone keeps drinking, it can progress to alcoholic hepatitis, which is even more serious inflammation.
And from there, it can lead to cirrhosis, right?
Exactly. And at that point, the liver's really struggling.
So it's like a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people assume that unless you're like a daily drinker, your liver's fine. But it sounds like damage can happen even with less frequent but heavy drinking.
That's right. It's about the cumulative effect over time.
Okay, so moderation is key. All right, let's move on to another type of liver condition, hepatitis. So there are different types of hepatitis, right? And some are worse than others.
Yeah, there are a few. We've got viral hepatitis, which includes hepatitis A, B, and C. These are caused by viruses and can be spread through different ways. Like hepatitis A is usually foodborne, contaminated food or water.
Oh, right. I've heard about that.
Hepatitis B and C, though, they're often spread through blood and bodily fluids.
Gotcha. And then there's that autoimmune hepatitis, right?
Yep, that one's a bit different. It's where your own immune system attacks your liver cells. It's like it mistakes them for invaders.
Yikes. Talk about friendly fire. So with all these types of hepatitis, what are the main concerns?
Well, chronic hepatitis infections, no matter the type, they can increase the risk of cirrhosis and liver cancer. That's the big worry.
Right, those are serious complications.
Mm-hmm.
But there are vaccines for some types of hepatitis, right?
Yeah, for A and B, those vaccines are super effective at preventing infection. And for hepatitis C, while there's no vaccine, there are antiviral medications that can cure it in most cases.
So prevention for some and effective treatment for others. That's good to know. Okay, so this kind of brings us full circle back to cirrhosis and liver cancer. They're often the end result of these other conditions if they're left untreated, right?
Exactly. Cirrhosis, it's like the final stage of many liver diseases. It's when the liver's so scarred it can't function properly anymore, and it can cause all sorts of problems.
I can imagine. So what happens when the liver can't do its job?
Well, you can get fluid buildup in the abdomen, internal bleeding, even mental confusion because toxins aren't being filtered out properly.
Yeah.
And yeah, cirrhosis also increases the risk of liver cancer.
That is really scary. I'm realizing just how serious this is. But let's shift gears now and talk about what we can do to protect our livers. I've heard the liver has this incredible ability to regenerate. Is that true?
It is. The liver is amazingly resilient. If you give it the right support, it can repair itself.
Okay, so what can we do to support our livers? Let's get practical here. What are the everyday things that make a difference?
Well, a healthy diet is huge. Eat lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, leafy greens, spinach, kale. Those are really good.
I'm trying. What else?
Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower. And beets are great for liver health, too. And on the other hand, you want to cut back on processed foods, sugary drinks, and those unhealthy fats.
Okay, so it's like a two-pronged approach.
Yeah.
Add in the good, cut out the bad. And what about exercise? I know that's good for everything, but does it specifically help the liver?
Definitely. Exercise can prevent fatty buildup in the liver and help with insulin sensitivity, which we talked about earlier.
Right, so it's kind of all connected. What's good for the body is good for the liver.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm sensing a theme here. And of course, we have to talk about alcohol again. Moderation is key, right?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you have any existing liver issues.
Okay, so what about medications and supplements? Is there anything we can take to help support liver health?
Well, antioxidants are good. Things like vitamin E and selenium, they can help protect the liver from damage. But it's always best to talk to your doctor before starting any new supplements.
Right, always good to check with your doctor.
Mhm.
I've also heard about alternative therapies like Ayurvedic medicine, which focuses on liver health. What are your thoughts on those?
Ayurvedic medicine does have a long tradition of emphasizing liver health. They use certain herbs and dietary recommendations, like turmeric, for example. It's got curcumin, which might have liver protective properties, and milk thistle is another popular one.
I've heard of that. So these herbs might help, but more research is needed.
Right. And again, always talk to your doctor before trying anything new, especially if you have other health conditions or take medications.
Solid advice. Well, this has been incredibly insightful. We've learned so much about how the liver works, what can go wrong, and most importantly, what we can do to keep it healthy.
It's all about taking those little steps to support your liver. It really can make a big difference.
I'm definitely inspired to give my liver some extra love. So as we wrap up, I'll leave everyone with this thought. If your liver could talk, what would it thank you for today?